Character deaths, woo! Yep, that's the intro. So, today I've made this tier list with my default tier list template that I made a few months ago on character deaths of specifically either my favorite characters or characters from fandoms whose deaths were known to be traumatizing. And I hope I don't sound like a psycho ranking this, because it doesn't really, I don't get sad easily when reacting to character deaths unless they're characters I was really attached to or something. So, starting off, Yuto was a character that his death kind of makes me more angry because of how it was done. Because he was the only compelling character in that show at the time, and it kind of went downhill after he died. So, in hindsight, it's not really that sad. So I'm putting it there. He also, it's debatable whether he actually died because he kind of just became this ghost thing that became part of the main character, which is weirdly common in Yu-Gi-Oh! But, he became this talking ghost and their souls fused or whatever, and it was kind of weird. But he never got his physical form back, and I'm still salty about that. Maria, which I rewatched the Sonic 3 movie and I had to relive that again. Yay. So it's this one's kind of hard because it is sad, but more from the sense of how it affects Shadow as a character rather than being attached to Maria. I mean, I still like Maria, but it just hurts more because you know how much it affects Shadow and his trauma and how much it drove him as a character. So, and at the same time, I feel like we've seen Maria die in so many so many variations that it's oh, there we go again. Again, I'm not a psycho, I swear. So I'm gonna how much would it anger the Sonic fans if I put her in not sad at all? You know what, for the sake of Shadow, we'll put it in that kind of hurt. Anyway, moving on. So now we have Duchess Satine, who, this is another case where it's it hurts more because of how it feels for Obi-Wan rather than her actually dying. But I do really ship Obi-Teen, so that makes it worth more, I guess. And it was sad, and it's really great how Obi-Wan just he loved her so much, but even when his greatest enemy killed her in front of him, he still didn't turn to the dark side. That was just ooh. But it is a kind of a tragic sort of thing, so I'll put it in that kind of hurt. Oh. Okay, yeah, I feel like a psychopath. Okay, future Gohan. At the time when I watched History of Trunks, it was kind of sad because I cared for Trunks a lot. And that scene was, I guess sad at the time because I was 11 years old. But in hindsight, again, this might be a controversial one, but I'm gonna put it here. Yeah, it just compared to other deaths later on this list, it just wasn't that sad. It was sad if you think about it from the perspective of future Gohan lost his dad and lost everyone, and he had no one left basically, and I guess Trunks also didn't have many people left, but you didn't really, I don't know, get to know him that much, so just mostly the other deaths were sadder. But yeah, so then, okay, now I got Rem. I haven't seen Death Note in a really long time. I wasn't too attached to anyone in that show, but, yeah, sorry, Rem. At the time, I'm sure it was sad, but, like, now it's kind of just like, okay, that happened. Anyway, speaking of Death Note, L, again, at the time it was kind of sad because they even had this whole episode where it was very much like foreshadowing how had all these like biblical references and things in a weird foot washing scene, but so I'm sure that added to the angst. So I guess I'll put it up here. This is a little concerning that all the deaths so far have not been very high, but that's about to change because, oh no, I'm looking at these next two, and yeah, that's gonna change. Zack the puppy. Oh. Okay, this one actually is sad because you spend the whole game knowing what happens to him. Like, you play Crisis Core and you're like, okay, I'm gonna mentally prepare myself because I know what's gonna happen, but then you just end up getting more attached to him, and then you end up more sad at the end than before when you didn't know Zack as well, because he's such a good character, and you learn about his relationships with Cloud and with Aerith, and then you just get more attached, and that's what makes prequel backstories and things so sad, because you know what's gonna happen to them. So I guess in like the death itself, from that perspective, not even just from the perspective of how Cloud feels or Aerith felt, is just sad on its own, because it was like actually really sad. Cause like, and you also have like his dreams of being a hero and how he wanted to like help people and stuff, and he wanted to escape from Shinra, and when you have a character as a goal that goes unfulfilled because they die, it's really sad. So yeah, we'll put it in sad for now. We might move up higher, we'll see. Yeah, these three I put in one rectangle because I kind of feel the same about all their deaths. Which, by the way, how sad is it that the Sea Salt trio is the only Kingdom Hearts trio where not only one of them die, but all three of them die? Like, I get Kingdom Hearts 3 happen, but whatever. But like prior to Kingdom Hearts 3, the Destiny trio and the Wayfinder trio didn't have anyone who died technically, but in the Sea Salt trio, all three of them die, which is really sad. Even before they die, it's already sad because they're like separated and they like have these angsty misunderstandings and just, ooh, like Shion sacrifices herself, which is already sad enough. Roxas is basically trapped to being a computer, then learns he has to die to save someone else and realizes his existence was for nothing, and then Axel just wants to get his friends back, but at the time he doesn't know he has two friends because Shion's death made all of the memories of her gone, so he just wants to get Roxas back, but then he sacrifices himself
to save Zora, and it's like, Zora, according to him, looked just like Roxas, so,
Yeah, so the situation around these three is really angsty, and 358 over 2 days is very angsty, so I might just put them, I might put them higher actually. We might have to reassess at the end. Actually, yeah, let's put Zack and the Sea Salt trio a little higher for this. So, next we got Itachi, which, that's a hard one to rank because his death came like right after that whole recontextualization, which was a shock and was, yeah, it was more of a shock than sad. But I guess when you consider like how much he's gone through and how much he protected Sasuke and like everyone hated him and like he died with no one except Sasuke knowing that he like did so much is kind of sad. So, you know, I'll just put him in the middle because that's perfect, because it's like the more I think about it, it's like, it's sadder than the kinda hurt category, but not as sad as like the Square Enix people, so yeah, that's perfect. Speaking of Naruto, we have Neji, which that, yeah, is going here because that death felt very badly written and unnecessary. So yeah, Reen, I think I only put her on here just to fill space because I don't really remember much about her, but if you think about, I guess, the circumstance of what her death caused and the misunderstanding and angst that her death caused between Obito and Kakashi, then I guess it is sad from that perspective. But again, the death itself, since we didn't get to know her very well, I don't think didn't hurt as much from that. Yuki from Given. Oh, this one's sad because, well, one, you see how his death haunts the narrative and haunts our main character, but it's also sad because it's a suicide. So that's, it's just, deaths that like haunt the narrative like that are already sadder. So I think that by default puts him up above that kind of hurt category. But then, yeah, and I watched the new Given movie that came out, and that definitely added a bit more angst to it than I remembered when I first watched Given. So I think I will actually put him in the same tier as Itachi. Rengoku. Oh, I missed Rengoku. Yeah, his death was sad. It was sad, cause like he was. What makes his death sadder is that it makes you attached to his character. Some of these deaths, like down here, either aren't as sad because the death wasn't well written, or because they're more sad from another character's perspective and not from the fact that you care about them as much. But with Rengoku, it's like you care about him very much so in such a short amount of time, which is really impressive. And then he dies, and then you also care about it from the sense of the other characters, because like now Tanjiro needs a new mentor, and yeah, so and it just hurts because like he's such a good guy and he was just doing his best and he loves his noodles and he lives life to the fullest and is so full of radiance and just yeah. So definitely I might actually put him in the sobbing right now category because it did kind of hurt. Like when I watched it for the first time it was actually sad. Anyway, next we have Thackeray Binks, which is not sad at all. Not because it was a badly written death, but because it genuinely just wasn't that sad. Like, if anything, it was more of like a sweet thing, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, he's lived for so long as a cat, and it's probably been miserable because he's all alone. He just wants to be with his sister, and his parents are dead because he's outlived them. So now he can be with them, right? Like, that's kind of how I took it as. It was more just a shame that the movie just lost its best character, but it was the end of the movie at that point. So, yeah. So not that sad. Not this. No. The complete opposite of that, though, we have our. Oh, yeah. No, this is the first and probably only thing going in traumatized because if you know, you know. It's. I don't want to talk about it. Next, Tongue Out Sure. This one's pretty sad too, but for different reasons than the other ones because of the situation with his death. That's like Lu Wong just tries so hard to like prevent it and stuff, and we don't even know how many times he's jumped back, but it just always ends badly, and just that whole angsty time loop sort of situation is what makes it more sad than the death itself. But you're also really attached to Tung Zhaoxue and Lu Gong and the ship, where I am, so that also adds a layer of sadness to it. But I think that alone makes it a sobbing right now one. Cause like I do like Chung Xiaoshi a lot, and it just hurts to know how many times he's died and how many times Lu Guang has have to like go back and try to save him and fail and relive the same moments with him knowing he's gonna die. And yeah, that is genuinely very sad. Um, Patroclus. Um, hmm. I think I'm gonna put in the sobbing right now because his death was sad. It was definitely shocking, and it was sad both from the sense that you care about Patroclus and you also care about how Achilles felt for him and how much Achilles grieved, and that was hard to read through in Song of Achilles. Like, even just in those passages in the Iliad, which I haven't even read, but Achilles just grieving in any medium about Patroclus and what follows afterwards is just pretty sad. And it's also just sad because, like, when I read Song of Achilles, I didn't even know Patroclus was gonna die. I thought Achilles was gonna die first, at least. So it was very shocking what happened. So, and yeah, Patroclus just wanted to, like, be with Achilles and heal people. So, yeah, it's going and sobbing right now. Which, by the way, nothing's ever gonna go and traumatize like Ash is nothing. Ash, this category was made specifically for Ash because of how much it affected me. So, just to clarify. Bianca. This is one where it hurts more because of how it affects Nico and how much it haunts his narrative. Sort of like Yuki with Mafuyu. And like with Bianca, I definitely still remember when I first read Titan's Curse, which feels like a while ago, but it wasn't. Like, I remember reading those lines and like little Nico just wondering where his sister is, and I'm like, oh no. And like, just all that Nico goes through just hurts. So, but like, I mean, I liked Bianca. We didn't know much about her really, but like, we still grew to care for her and Nico, and they were just kids. And the fact that it's this little girl makes it harder, and like, it just leaves Nico alone because Nico literally had no one at that point. So, definitely, for how much it affects Nico, probably put it in sad. Speaking of for how much it affects Nico, Jason, which was again more of a shock than sad because I was not expecting Jason to die at all. If anything, out of any of the main characters, I would have thought it was like, I don't know, Piper or Frank for some reason, but not Jason. I was not expecting Jason to be the one to die. So it makes me sad more from the perspective of like how it affects Nico, how it affects Leo, because I very much ship Valgrace, and I was like, it definitely hurts from that perspective because, yeah, because I feel like Leo just was never really understood by anyone else like he was with Jason. So I might actually, ooh, it feels wrong to put in the same category as sobbing right now because I feel like these were worse, but it's above sad. Okay, sure, I'll put it in sobbing right now, but at like the bottom, probably like on the borderline, I'd say. And then last but not least, Neil, which was also a shock because I was not expecting him to die at all. Like, I was completely blindsided. And we watched this in school, by the way, which I was kind of surprised about. And I also ship Andrew Perry, so it makes it sad from the perspective of, like, from the perspective of Todd, like, losing him. And it was also just, it kind of hit badly for me because that was around the time one of my classmates actually passed away, so But ignoring that, it was still sad because, like, I mean, well, it's a suicide, but also he was just so young and he had these dreams that he wanted to fulfill, and he just felt trapped. And it always hurts more when you have a character who has dreams but die before they can achieve them. And it hurts more that he was the one who killed himself because he felt trapped, and it just... oh, and then you consider the Andrew Perry part of it, so... yeah, you know what, I'll put it in the sobbing right now category. It's definitely those things where, like, the more you think about it, the sadder it gets, which you can say for honestly any of them, especially with Ash, but with Ash it's just so sad that you don't want to think about it more. Yeah, so that was my list. I actually have more than I thought in this category. At the beginning I was like, uh-oh, I have way too many down here. But yeah, so those were how traumatic these character deaths were. So it's mostly even, at least. I'm sure I'll run into more characters that I'm gonna be traumatized by their deaths, but it'll never be the same level as Ash at all. It'll never be. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, thank you, and hopefully I did not spoil you for character deaths, but I would hope that you would have noticed by the title and thumbnail that's what this was about. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in whatever I make next.